Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Welcome
everybody.
to Hello everybody. Welcome to our show, the Jedi Archives. Today we're going to be reviewing the Star Wars The High Republic Shadow of Starlight. My name's John, if I didn't already say.
I'm Mike.
I am Bryce.
Yes, let's get into this comic as we've been waiting for a while for us to get back into the High Republic because we've been on the hiatus between Phase 2 and 3. And is this the first thing we got from 3?
This is the
Official?
Yes, it
first
is.
official entry into Phase 3. Correct.
Even before
Well,
the books. So that's interesting.
Even before the
think,
I
books,
think
right?
think
Phase
we're
1
gonna.
book
This is
first.
setting up. This is the first two issues. I think are setting up what we're going to see in Phase 3.
So is this going to be a run, or is this just like a mini series?
It's
Just
a-
4.
And they're
It's
going to have
just-
another
I
comic
think it's
run
5, right?
on 5.
Is it 5? It's 4 or
I think
5, but it's This is the Charles Soule written
Mhm.
one, and then Cavan's writing the main book again.
Right. But very excited to have Phase 3 starting, and this is a nice bridge. So it's a year after. We know there was like 150 years between Phase 1 and Phase 2, and then this is like 1 year after Phase 1. So it's not too much.
Well, I
farther.
guess Phase 3 maybe starts a year after, but this comic starts days at 1 week after. Like it's pretty. Remember
Yeah,
said,
it kind of starts off, I think, saying 1 year after, but then it phases it into 1 month, 3 months,
It has
5 or
flashbacks,
6
yeah.
months. Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
Yeah.
I think the shortest
So-
time is 1 week after. So
Yeah, because I think because we see Yoda at the beginning in that time, and then the flashbacks happen, and then he reappears, and then that's where everything
At
starts.
the end,
starts
right.
rolling, yeah.
So let's start off with the League of Comic Geeks, where we have the comic and the review. And I've already given it 5 stars, so you're going to know my holocron review. But this is Star Wars The High Republic, Shadows of Starlight #1, first issue into Phase 3. And the crawl reads, Who lived? Who died? Answers to the greatest catastrophe of the golden age of the Jedi. Little has been revealed about the year following the fall of Starlight Beacon and the ultimate triumph of the Nihil until now. The Jedi Council, reeling from its losses, has recalled its Jedi Knights from across the galaxy and instituted the emergency measures. Master Yoda has a plan to save the Order and the galaxy, but he must touch the dark side to achieve it, and the consequences will be grave indeed. So that's pretty ominous. We have the cover here.
It's an awesome cover, which is the Jedi Council, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And some familiar faces that have lived on well into the prequel trilogy and even.
Yep, correct. Yeah.
So it's nice to see this.
It looks like a very familiar cover photo for a certain Facebook group, too.
And then do we have another cover? Oh, here's
You
the
should have,
Virgin
yeah.
variant. Virgin variant of that same cover. Very
Super
nice.
clean. I like it.
Very clean.
It looks like us when we were going to a lightsaber thing at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sure
Lightsaber meetup.
does. Here's a third cover. It says 3 of 7.
I don't know if we
I
ever.
love
Yeah,
that
there's a lot.
yellow lightsaber. That golden lightsaber is beautiful. Then the wind billowing up the cape looks great.
That's a
I
great
really
one.
like it.
I don't know if I ever get that Jedi's name, but it's cool.
I don't know if we know that Jedi's name yet.
Whoever she is, she looks awesome.
Agreed.
And here, of course, is Yoda, whatever.
That is the cover that I have.
Which one? Is this a variant edition? Is that what that says?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Garbage variant.
Yep.
Ooh,
That one's
cool.
cool, too.
Cool.
This
Yeah, that
one's
one I
cool.
like a lot. This one here reminds me of
The Ronin Jedi.
Visions?
Yeah, Ronin from Visions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is Takashi Okazaki variant, so you can see that influence.
That would make
it's
sense.
really cool. Really cool. And this is the Virgin variant of that. Really nice.
Sharp. Yeah.
I love to see Yoda just floating there. It looks so magical.
That's so cool.
Oh,
That's
look
sharp
at this
too.
one.
Yeah, I like
Like
that.
the pencil drawing.
Yeah,
Just
there
the
was a
pen and
ton of
ink, right?
variants for
Pen and
this.
ink. Nice. That brings us back to the original cover. So, what do you guys think? What's your favorite?
Man, I'm sorry, Bryce, but yours is the one you have. Looks like it's got the run to the litter. The rest are really
Oh,
good.
that's fine. That's the one I have. I absolutely, well, Yoda's my favorite, so it was not really a hard choice for me. So,
I mean that the Virgin lightsaber meetup about 2 looks great. The nameless, not what it called, not a kin Jedi, I think they're called something like that. She looks great, and then all 3 of those Yoda ones. I guess if I had to pick out of the last Yoda, it'd probably the Virgin black and white, not black and white, but slightly colored grayscale. But that one's great. That one's awesome.
The Nautilin? Yeah, she looks cool. You like the
one more? That one. That's
yeah, that one's awesome.
This one, the colored one?
because you get the green.
Yeah, that's
It's
actually
almost
I
black
think
and
this
white,
is my
but added
favorite.
green.
Yeah.
That's sharp.
That's my
That's
favorite.
sharp. You know what?
This
I
is my
haven't
favorite,
been
but I
to
do
the
second favorite's Nautilin.
No, it's dope. That definitely fits within their brand of stuff we've seen. That's right out of the ones we've seen. Now the other ones we've seen aren't like really anything we've seen for High Republic. So definitely that's why it looks so cool. It's funny because I have the Yoda series, and I was like, that should be in the Yoda series.
Right.
I don't think they really did any variants in that series, did they?
I don't
remember.
I
don't have any. I know that.
I have the Yoda series, but it's just the one cover. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it, guys.
Let's look at the cast.
Oh yeah, the cast. So we've got characters. We've got Addie Sunzi.
That's what I didn't know. When she popped up with Silas, I was like, isn't Vanessa Rose supposed to be training Silas? Or who's she's training Emery. Comac is training Silas.
Correct.
Yeah, so I didn't know who that was. What's a new Jedi for me?
It's got a bunch of characters. So we've got Aslan Rel, which is from Phase 2 of the High Republic.
Was he? Well, we'll have to get to him when we get to him, but I don't remember him.
Yeah, he's pretty old now.
Yeah. There's a couple.
Eldar Man. So I'm assuming Aslan Rel is not a human. He's got to be like a humanoid-like, because for him to live that long. Eldar Man. Karak Infala, didn't recognize him. Operansis, of course we know.
Yep.
Pratri Veter, we know. It's a long-lived character. Reith Silas.
Yep.
Was it Sho LaRue?
So maybe. Yeah, it's tough.
Yoda. Adali Caro. Adampo. We know Adampo. Amadeo Azazo.
Yeah, lots of I love how many characters in this issue.
Avar
there's a lot of, I think, Padawans and younglings that we're getting introduced to for the first time.
Like Bree, the little kids.
Yep.
Bree, we've got Govina and John. So remember the kids
John.
are like,
there's a character named John. I love it.
Are they going to make us Jedi? They're like all concerned. We have Keaton Murag, Lena So, the Chancellor, Nyla Quinn, Raiki Saka, Soleil Agra. That's the Nautilin. Soleil Agra. Terry Rose Sazin. She's on the Jedi Council, right?
I love that the picture that they use for her is that variant cover too.
For Soleil Agra? Yeah.
Yep.
We've got Toko, Yariel Poof,
I don't
Bel
remember
Zettifar,
Buriaga in this, or Ember.
Comac Vitus, Ember, Emmerich Kaftor. Now, Emmerich is from that miniseries where they were doing like the detective work. That was a good one. I liked it.
And he's in this one. I remember he's kind of complaining with the Jedi doing.
Yes. Yep.
Dala Maru, Farzala, Tarabal.
Are they just listing all the characters at this point? Because I don't remember any of these in this.
Yeah, they're not really.
Monchi, Imri Canteros, Loden Greatstorm, Lula Talazola, Matari, Nibasek,
Yeah, they mentioned Nib.
Well, they
Yeah.
just run that into that one, huh?
Yeah, they
No,
mentioned.
what is it? Narambakarak.
You know, I think there might be a screen where we're looking at like deceased Jedi or something, and I think that's where some of these might be
Well,
on
that's where
here.
they mentioned Comac.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
like
Obertugili,
he's passed, right?
Orbalin, Porter Engel,
You
They
know, he's
mentioned him.
mentioned.
Regal Cole, Skier, Stellan Geos. He's dead. Torben Buck, Boru. But yeah, they have that that's a bunch of characters.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot, but that's a lot.
That's
They
a
don't
lot.
mention. Some of those are already mentioned. That's something that might be that board where you see like the red and blue faces. I think a lot of
Right.
those characters might be on there. I didn't really investigate that panel that well.
Very cool. So where do we get started? This anyone want to start off or can I go with my notes?
Let me read the crawl. Was that what you read? Oh no.
Yeah, I did. I read it out
No,
loud.
it just
The crawl from the comic. So yeah, centuries before the Clone Wars, or the Empire, during the glorious era of the High Republic, the Jedi were at their height. The galaxy was at peace until dangerous marauders known as the Nihil caused a great disaster. The attack on the Jedi at the Republic reached its peak with the destruction of the Starlight beacon, a space station meant to symbolize hope and unity. Now the Jedi had been recalled to Coruscant, fearful of the Nihil and the monstrous creatures they possess. The Guardian Protocols.
yeah, which are interesting.
Yes. Very very non-Jedi like. I actually kind of have a problem with it. When we get to it, we can talk about it.
Right. I agree. But you know what? This is kind of setting it up for the Clone Wars, which is a similar event.
Yeah, I mean, this is setting up for how they train Jedi going forward. The attachments and
Do we just want to talk about
and
the
everything like
protocols
that.
now, or want to wait
I
till we
mean,
get?
we're just reviewing the comic. I don't know if we need to
We
go in a
can.
certain order or
No, I
not.
was just so yeah. So pretty much if you're reading comic, the first panel is they say we're going to enact
Enact.
Jedi protocols, and pretty much it's turned the Jedi into warriors and really un-Jedi at extreme measures in my mind. Forcing Padawans to become knights and younglings to start training with real lightsabers. Just those lines blew my mind because those are so un-Jedi-like, and there's a reason why you take your time. You have to condition emotion out of these children. You do it too soon and they're going to get fear, they're going to get anger. You're pretty much at that point, you're 50-50 shot they're going to be Jedi or Sith. So I had I had some serious problem with that. And then we get introduced to a character who's had that issue. So it's just like,
Right.
I don't know, they're repeating the failures.
I know. And the thing about that character too is if you read the precedent, the edge of balance precedent, that's where um that's where it happens to him.
The manga? Is that what
Yes,
that
the
is?
manga. It's really good. Did you guys read that one?
I
The
did
Edge of
not.
Balance Precedent? It's
No.
really good. The only thing I can't get used to is reading backwards.
Yeah.
It's tough for me.
I don't like reading black and white.
Teacher.
It's just like black and white pages. I don't know.
You know what? After a while, I don't even notice it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't even. I start seeing it in color, but I didn't realize it was black and white. But I see it in color in my mind because I already know what they look like. So I do appreciate the
Right.
images. So it's nice. But when I was reading that one, I just get stuck on the clicking left instead of clicking right.
So I already read this.
I know. I get confused. I'm used to.
Well, you would think like if it's digital, they could rearrange it.
That's not how manga's read, though.
For your habits, though. I mean,
I know.
If it's digital, you're just reading the next page. You're not reading left to right. You're reading the next page. So you.
But they put them up 2 pages at a time, so you've got to read the right page first and then the left.
Single at a time. Then you hit next.
I wish it were single page,
not left to right.
Oh. It's 2 panels, and then you do have to click the left side to go to the next 2 panels, and you have to read from right to left.
Right. Yeah. They set it up exactly how you would pick up the book and actually physically read it by going
Right.
starting at the back and then working your way to the front,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
But
So,
that precedent set it up really nicely, and it of course had two of my favorite characters, which is Tay Sarek and oh my gosh, my favorite. What's his name? I forgot his name. Tay Sarek's
why do we need to
boyfriend,
remind you?
because you know him. It's
It's
oh my
not
gosh,
Comac.
it's Mac Vildar. Mac Vildar.
Yeah.
Dildar Mac.
It's Vildar Mac and Tay Sarek, and they help. They actually help this character who's in here now.
Wait, you didn't
Aslan.
tell me Vildar Mac was
Aslan
in
Rel.
that. I'm gonna have to read that. I love Vildar Mac too.
Yeah, he's in that one briefly in Precedent.
Okay, I thought it was.
It's a really good. I like the manga. It was really good, but it sets up how he lets that fear in and how he became touched by the dark side.
Aslan Rel is who you're referring to.
Yes, Aslan Rel.
Yep.
And remember, he was the one also that was looking for in that other comic that we did. They were looking for. He was researching, and that's when he went back. When they went, those two Jedi went to that. It was a one-off issue where they went to that planet where they all had the Force because of that crystal. Remember, and they had to steal the crystal, and the Queen got like all bent out of shape. But when they broke the crystal, they got returned back to themselves.
Yeah,
you're talking about the one that Claudia Gray wrote, The Quest of the Jedi.
Yes,
the one you're referring to.
So in that one, he was younger and researching, going back to the source, and I think that's what started him on that dark side path. So it might have affected him somehow.
Yeah, I remember that one was like, we were like, this is kind of bold. They're like, Jedi are telling this culture they can't have their relics.
Right.
But it's because it's poison they didn't notice. I remember now. I don't remember the Jedi, but we're going through a lot of Jedi.
Well, I remember that Jedi because he had that scene where he was shirtless in his bed. So
it's the same Jedi as Mac again?
No, it's not Vildar Mac, it's another one.
Another shirtless Jedi? What's going on?
It's like, it's definitely for me. This is like High Republic is for Made for Mike.
There's only one shirt. Whipping off the rope left and right for Mike. That's funny.
So yeah, I like how this is really actually connecting this issue. Shadows of Starlight is connecting a lot of all of the High Republic to also the rest of Star Wars. Oh, really well. There's a lot in here.
I forgot, but my initial review of this comic book. This comic book is an amazing, what do we call it, prolonged intro to what's going on next. This was 25 pages. Had so much information. I loved it because it gave you information. This comic had more information in it than all of the Ahsoka series. So there's 8 episodes of just, I loved it, but it was like very lacking information. And this was the opposite. Every page was meant to give you information. Where this Jedi is, what happened to this Jedi, where are we doing in the galaxy, what's going on. Like, I didn't even know there was some force wall, but now I know there's some kind of storm wall or something like that. So just tons of information.
Right. The Nile, right?
Just tons. I loved it. It's like, this is what I need when I get into something kind of new. We had a time gap, so it's kind of new. Catch me up, tell me what's going on. And even the next episode is going to be the next comic's going to be the same. We're going to follow Avar and Elzar for the last year. So I just thank you for connecting dots for me, so I don't have to do them myself. So I really appreciate that. So I really like this.
At one point, when Elzar's in front of the council, he mentions the storm wall because it was Avar and Porter Engle are within.
Trapped.
Yeah.
I think he's mentioning it. Oh, that's the second time we see Elzar. Because the first time we see Elzar, he's with.
Correct. Avar. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's that real time 1 year thing, and then Yoda leaves because he's got to figure this plan out, and then they do those little mini flashback kind of things.
So yeah, I'm like,
I you know what else I like too? I like that they're showing why the lightsabers have changed now because they have to mass produce them.
Yep.
Right. So they're gonna have to mass produce them.
That was huge. As a minor detail. Yeah.
See,
right. I loved it.
To me, I always thought I was fine the way it changed because to me they were always kind of gaudy, but their robes were also gaudy, and maybe through time we got to be more monk-like. So remove the gold and move the extra. So my head canon kind of already did that, but this explains it again, which was cool. But I didn't actually need it. But to me, I already had this kind of solved in my mind. But I kind of like that too. So maybe they start doing the same thing with the robes. We got generic robes. We got to pump out a uniform instead of everyone's
Yeah,
kind of
because
you
there's
get
so
their own
many
little
now.
embellishing on them. So yeah, so it's like
Yeah, 'cause
stormtroopers.
I'm trying to remember like what they showed with Vernestra Rowe in the Acolyte teaser. I don't think she was in typical High Republic robes. I could be mistaken, but I know that the Wookiee Jedi, and I can't remember the name,
Burry.
but the Wookiee
Burry Alder?
Jedi. No, it's not Burry. They said it at Celebration. His name's not
Whoever
Burry.
Jonas's
He's
character
a
is,
he's a yeah. Eunice's character is a Jedi Master. Um, he was still wearing High Republic robes, but I didn't think for Nestra was. So maybe that's where you start seeing those types of things phase out in that show. I kind of feel like the Acolyte's the culmination of Phase 3, like that. We're going to get all the written stuff and all that, and it's going to set up the show.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I hope we deal with the Nihil in Phase 3. I don't want to deal with the Nihil in the show. I want that to be more Jedi and Sith focused. But yeah.
And then I also like the mural, the memorial. It's called For the Lost. And I appreciate all the
So is that
Arabesh.
yeah, so that's the one where I'm looking now and I see Porter Angle, Buryaga, Comac. So that's where we get all the characters from that. The
And they're
beginning.
blue
Yeah.
and red. So
Yeah.
the blue ones are the ones that are missing, right? But the red ones are
Everyone's
ones that are
missing.
known dead.
Yeah, everyone's missing Reds and Undead. Which I didn't know Orla, not Orla, the orb guy, the smoke guy who was dead. I didn't know that.
Yeah, or Berlin. Or Berlin
Orla.
died. Mm-hmm.
But there's someone I could see. Like I don't see Orla Jarani on here. We know she passed. But you see
They
Blue.
mentioned that, though. They do mention her and Nib Assek as ones that passed.
You
Mm-hmm.
see in Blue. You see that one Jedi that is dead, but they don't know he's dead because he's behind the storm wall. They killed the storm. The two issues, I guess, with
Tourette and Surek?
no, the one that looked like a squid.
Oh, the one that had the mushroom
Yeah.
head.
He,
Yeah, they.
I think he's the very last character that dies in the comics, right?
Does he?
Yeah.
Is he dead? I thought Markion was still keeping him alive and torturing him for some reason.
Yeah.
Did he actually kill him? I can't remember. It's been a while since I read, so you could be right. I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know that
think he was
Markion.
keeping him to torture him.
I
Well,
wasn't sure.
he was like 1,000 years old or something. He's like older than Yoda, so
Right.
I think he dies because he's not anymore. We don't see him anymore.
So, what I have here is that the sub-series has embarked on its third phase. Phase 1 takes place 200 years before the Skywalker saga. Phase 2 is 150 years before the first, but Phase 3 takes place following Phase 1. So the early works in Phase 3 have the difficult task of bridging the gaps between the events of Phase 1 and 2, while also setting up the storyline for Phase 3. So it's a little bit of a bridge to the novel. And this all started back in 2021 with Light of the Jedi, which was, of course, the great disaster.
It was such a great book. It's still
really
my
good.
favorite. Still my favorite.
And it's reached its third and final phase, Trials of the Jedi, by bridging the gap. Let's see. What else I have in my notes?
And that is actually what the main comic book, I believe, is. It's Trials of the Jedi. I know it's the phase, but I think that's what they actually call the Marvel main line.
And it says that Shadows of Starlight #1 explores the timeline immediately following end of Phase 1 and the destruction of Starlight Beacon. So this is immediately right after. That's how it just jumped right in. So it's that first year.
Yeah.
Immediately
it's pretty much the whole year, yeah. But it is immediately after. That's why I call it a prologue.
But by the end of this one, it's 1 year in.
Yeah.
And so this series focuses on how the Jedi and the ordinary Jedi Council and the Jedi deal with the continuing threat of the Nihil, Marauders, and the Nameless.
Yeah, that's what I'm most curious about, because
What
obviously
else does it
they
say?
deal with that at some point. So I'm really curious on how. And also, we obviously know the Sith come back, so interested to see if we see a hint at that before the Acolyte show comes out, and then like how do they deal with the Nameless? Like that's what I'm really interested in, because right now they have no answer, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either unless they empower Muggles to help them out. Like I don't really know how to do it.
Right.
Mandalorian's gonna hunt down the beast.
You know what though? But in the Edge of Balance, um, what was the one that I just read? I told you guys, the Edge of Precedent. There is a Jedi, and she doesn't seem to be as affected by the Nameless as the others, which was weird. You guys didn't read that one?
Yeah, I didn't read that
No,
one.
we didn't read that one. Yeah,
Because she's the one that helps. She helps Aslan Rel, and she tells him, "You need to get out of here." And but she's because the Nameless are there too, and she's like, but she can still keep going. I don't get it.
So, one of the panels in this says it manifests as our fear.
right.
So I think it's going to be it could be a mental thing, because fear is all internal. All fear is all in here. There's no such physical fear. So I think there's
Do you
some
think
kind
maybe
of
that Jedi had no fear?
I think they got some kind of meditation, something to help them overcome it, and that's good because that means they're becoming better themselves.
Right.
Getting better.
Because she's a really old Jedi, a really old woman
So I
Jedi.
think
Human.
I am interested to see what would happen if Yoda would encounter one of these, because we haven't seen it yet either. So I'm thinking
Right.
Yoda might be not as affected either. So I think it has to do with how well you are in the Force, and not cheating like we see so many Jedi do. Elzar Mann using dark side, making younglings become Jedi Knights earlier. So I think
Right.
that's all. You can't have any
They're not
shortcuts. I
ready.
think you
Yeah,
have
they're
to be
not ready.
really well. Any maybe like maybe like Porter Engle has some scars in his past, so maybe he's not over that yet. So there's things like that I think you got to be 100% on. That's what I think, being a Jedi 100% on that. That's why everyone says it's flawed. It's like a lot of religions. It's almost impossible to be perfect. You got to try. You do your best, but I think that's what the Jedi way of thinking is. It's gonna impossible to be the perfect Jedi. So I think that perfect Jedi to get on that line is really what's going to have to help them get past the Nameless.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
What it says here too is that this is that the Guardian protocols, we mentioned that already. It's got a lot of similarities to how the Jedi function in wartime, like we saw in the Clone Wars.
Right.
But also, this is showing how, with the return of Aslan Rel from Phase 2, it's showing how good people, the Nameless, can drive good people to make terrible decisions, which is what happened with Aslan. Because he was not a bad person. He was a good Jedi. He had a good heart. And but just his exposure to the Nameless caused him to make some terrible decisions that ended up him going to the dark side.
I mean, it's a trigger. It happens every day.
Right.
Good people get triggered, and they can't go back.
And so, by including this character's descent to the dark side alongside the introduction of the Guardian protocols, which Jonathan, you've already stated you have some concerns about, so might be implying that these Guardian protocols could also lead down the path of fear and darkness if they're not careful.
Well, I think that's why this is a long phase. This is the longest phase. I think they're doing what they think is right, and they're gonna realize it's not what's right, and they're gonna get beaten down even more, and they're gonna have to figure out how to do it the right way, which is not.
Unless we don't have the full release schedule, it's actually the shortest.
Oh, it is? Oh, I thought it was the longest.
It is the shortest. Yeah, it is the shortest. No, it's the shortest.
Yeah, it's the shortest.
But Yoda brings in this. He takes off, right, Yoda, to go bring some help because he remembers something, and he brings in this hooded character, which nobody knows who it is. It's like a big reveal, and it ends up being Aslan Rel. And Aslan Rel is still alive.
Very defensive.
Oh, they whip out their sabers,
Wow.
Yeah.
right?
And
And
he
all
does.
you hear is. Zzz, zzz. I love all that lettering where it tells you the sound.
Right,
Right.
Yoda.
You got to read it.
Yoda.
Zzz.
I love how Yoda checks him. He's like, if one guy's a problem, we shouldn't be the Jedi Council. They're like, oh yeah,
Right.
they're like, yeah, they kind
Yeah,
of checked him. It's like,
he
yeah,
does. He checks
yeah,
them. Hmm.
yeah.
So, but the last time we had seen Aslan Rel was in Edge of Balance Precedent, and that's where he actually goes through his psychosis. So,
Gotcha.
Edge of Balance Precedent is really good. I do recommend that one too as some reading to give you background on this. Um, so through his fear, Aslan Rel did embrace the dark side, um, and he doesn't. He's not a Sith though, because
He
the
says
Sith is
that
that
I'm not a
religion.
Sith. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a Sith, but he did embrace the dark side because he thought that was the only way that he could protect the order. Um,
Correct.
And he
he
still
thought that
has
was the only
that.
way they could stop the threat of the
He
nameless.
still has that thought throughout the whole thing, and we'll get to it later. But he's
That
still
belief,
like, I'm
right?
gonna have to protect. I do whatever it takes. So it's
Well, yeah, and he takes his robe off and he's just covered in blood.
was that what that was? I didn't quite understand that picture. Like I was looking at it now, it just looked tattered and
Yeah,
like, was
It
that
looked
blood? Like, yeah,
very bloodstained because he goes on to say, I've killed to keep, what do you say? Yeah, I've done things. I've killed people.
I did it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I embraced the dark side. I did it for us,
hmm
and that's when they all get all trigger happy.
right. Because
So
they
yeah,
think that they think he might be Sith,
yeah.
but even though he's not Sith, it's still dark side.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think even though you don't officially claim that religion, it's the dark side. So
right.
it's
Hmm.
like what are they called? The Inquisitors. They're dark side. Yeah, they just don't claim they're Sith. So
Right.
But they're still more closely tied to the Sith because they work under the
oh
Sith
yeah,
Lord.
I think
So, but Aslan is not.
as soon
Technically, they work under a Padawan, and that's why they can't be true Sith because remember it's always the rule of two.
yeah.
So you will have
Hmm.
a master and an apprentice. Everything else underneath that. That's like why um, Asajj was never considered a Sith because she was trained under Dooku, and really
Who was
even
an
Savage
apprentice?
Opress was a dark side user, but he was never associated with the Sith. And at that point, neither was Maul.
Yeah.
Well, he wasn't even a Padawan because he was just working with Maul.
Right. So that's kind of like what Aslan Rel would be. Would just be somebody that can use the dark
Which is
side. But
which is literally just as dangerous as the Sith. Really, at that it's just
sure,
labels at that
yeah,
point. There's no difference
Right.
except the label. They're both doing bad stuff with the Force. So that's the unfortunate part.
That stuff with the Force, or dark side of the Force for sure.
Right.
And then so Yoda has Aslan Rel, and then he sits him and starts meditating with him, right? And that takes us all the way back to Dalna, which goes back to what we read in the book. Remember when they had that big attack, when
Yeah.
the Jedi came and the Republic came, and there was that big, what was
I think it
that?
was
It
the
was
end of
called
the
the Night of
first.
something, right? Or
That's when
yes, but remember,
Loden died, right? That's when he releases that
no,
dog, the nameless first time, wasn't?
no. When Loden
no, this is another
was
one.
taken on Dalna
Oh.
Hmm.
by
But
the
when this
Nihil.
happened was when they went back. When they went back, and it's when what's her name? Marta Rowe, she chops off her cousin's hand in the caves, and the caves get flooded. They decide to flood
Yeah,
the caves.
that's in the
Jedi are
very
in there.
first book. That's in the
Is that what that
God.
is?
The heck was that? Path of Deceit.
Path of
That
Deceit,
was the
yes.
yeah. It was the very first book of Phase Two.
And that Aslan Rel is in that book too. He's in those caves.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's one of the Jedi in there. And he gets separated from his master, or from whoever he was working with because he went in teams. And then that goes into Precedent because Precedent
Mm.
is also on Dalna when they've just got flushed out of the caves and he's separated from all the other Jedi. And that's when he gets exposed to the Nameless. Because remember, the mother had the Nameless in there.
Yeah, that's where we
Right.
just
Mhm.
we lose our first 2 Jedi in that book.
Correct.
Right, right. So, but the
Yeah.
thing is that I liked it because before I was confused, but now going back, it's all starting to make more sense and be more connected. So I want to go back and reread because I want to see things that make more sense to me personally. So this has the whole, and it connects to the other books too because you have that uh, Yoda sees Aslan in that vision going back into Dalna. Yoda sees Aslan with a strange crystal, right? And other characters get mentioned too, which is why we have so many characters in this one, like Spence and Das Lefbrook, the father-son prospecting pair that went to Planet X, and Planet X is where they had all that, the nameless planet, but that's where they had all that power. Remember the? I think it's all connected. I think that's where the nameless came from originally, because Planet X was you couldn't get to it; it was hard to find.
Right.
God, it's so
Well, they called it a paradise planet in the book.
Right, a paradise planet because everything was perfect, right? It was like a force planet, but the thing is that they started taking things from it, and they shouldn't have done that because they belonged there. And I think the nameless, they were from that planet too, and that's how they took all those stones, which were the eggs.
Yeah, wasn't that pilot name like Happy or something? Summer
It
or
was
something goofy like that. But he like fell in love with the mother. But remember, the
Oh
mother
yeah,
was using the force.
Sunshine,
Sunshine
Sunshine
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Yeah,
He,
happy.
it's not much.
I
There's a
mean,
lot.
Happy
There's a lot.
Sunshine is
Sunshine Dobbs.
there's
Yeah,
just so many. It's
but she
hard
was
to keep
using the
track of
force
them. But
influence because she was the sister of the Jedi. She was
Yeah,
the reject, and she was always like bitter because she'd been
oh,
rejected, but they took her sister.
man, dude, they have this giant board with pins, thousands, tens of thousands of pins of yarn going from everyone. Man, this is such a massive story. They're so interconnected. It's so hard to keep track. And I've read 85% of this. Man, my head hurts.
Right.
But
So
it's
then
fun.
Das did become a pathfinder in that era, and he built the comms relay. He built up the comms relay to greet new planets, and then rumors still persisted that his ancestors had some type of compass to find their way to Planet X, um, and that was in Quest for Planet X. So then Yoda and Aslan travel there, but something is amiss, and Aslan whispers into the random Abonito's ear, and they head off into the bowels of the bigger ship, unawares to Yoda as the two Jedi take a shuttle to the planet. On their way down, the bigger ship suddenly loses control and begins to rapidly descend into the city that they're traveling to. Because Aslan wanted to make sure it was destroyed so they never would find their way back. Because
correct.
that had the way to stop the Nameless Terror.
So that's what I don't understand. Like, he straight up says, I'm doing this to protect you. I will kill the Nameless. But then he destroyed the only clue to find them. So I didn't quite
Right.
understand. Do you guys understand that?
Well, I think that's what sets up
Because he's
the rest of the
mistaken.
series.
Hmm? Anyone? Did I lose you guys?
No, I was just saying. I think that's what sets up the rest of the series.
I hear you.
Is that? Yeah, Mike, you're kind of choppy a little bit. Or is it me?
I think we lost Mike. Did we lose Mike?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys hear me?
Are you delayed? All right.
He was choppy for me a minute
I
ago.
All right. Well, I was just trying to
maybe.
unpack. I was just trying to unpack why he destroyed that when he's trying to destroy the Nameless. I mean, he straight up says, "I will save us all." So I'm just like, you do not want to see the Nameless are Yoda, not like I do. So that's why I was just kind of really confused about that. That was really the only action of this comic. Everything else is just dialogue setting up where we've
Right.
been. And then we get to that, which is Yoda is pretty upset with him because he just killed a cruiser filled with people into
Mhm.
a city filled with people.
Well, yeah, thousands of people. Yeah, thousands of people.
Yeah.
But you know what? In a way, Aslan was right though, because he's protecting them. If they do end up going to that planet, they'll be exposed to many more nameless, and then that's not good for the Jedi at all. So in a way, he's right in doing that.
But how is he going to defeat them all
Because
if he
look,
can't find them?
well, deal with the
That's,
ones you have here. Why go find more?
so you think that's his
I think
thinking?
Aslan's right. I think he's right. He
Oh,
wants
you
to
do? You think
prevent
he's
them from
right to
coming.
kill thousands of people?
No, not that, not that. But to prevent them from going to the planet where they originated from. Why would you go to the
Huh.
origin of like alien planet where all the aliens are, or the
That's how you
xenomorphs?
find. It's how you find answers. I mean, I
That's
guess
how you find
that's.
death.
I think Yoda could go and look for answers. I wouldn't send the rest of the Republic, but
I don't know.
yeah, it's a
Well,
tough
let's see
one.
if Yoda can handle the ones that are here already.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of the issue. Great issue, like top to bottom, tons of dialogue. Also, my one continuing area is
Oh yeah.
Yoda says for light and life. I'm like, shouldn't Yoda say that backwards? The way he talks? Light and life for or life and light for. He said it completely the right way, the way the phrase is said. I'm like, well, Yoda would have said it backwards or something, right? That's my one thing. I don't think I've ever heard him say
Oh,
anything the right way. So that was the way the
So
phrase
he
is.
says to Luke, because a Jedi's force flows from within. Like that's
Uh,
pretty straightforward.
yeah, I wanted to hear it backwards. It's such the common thing they say, and we are the Republic. It'd be nice to say the Republic are we or something like that. So it'd just been cool to hear him say it that's flipped way. I guess it's more of a thing I would like. But
actually,
other
that
than
I
that,
think he would have flipped, but not for light and life because there's no verb.
oh, so yeah,
Am I choppy?
it's a little bit. It's more delayed. It's weird. Yeah. Overall, I really like the comic. I'm super, like I said earlier, I'm super happy they gave us tons of information.
Yeah, I agree. This is a very well done comic.
I too. I
Sets
like
up.
it a lot.
Right?
I can't tell if Mike was going before me or.
There's definitely a delay. It's funny. It's all right. We're doing all right. We're doing the best we can. We got. Okay, I'm gonna start off. My holocron rating was the highest I'll ever give, 4.5 holocrons.
Highest I will ever give.
Mike, what do you give it?
I give it 5.
5? Full 5? Cool.
5 holocrons.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Jonathan. 4.5 out of 5 for me on this.
And I'm really excited to see what's next. I really want to find out what happens with my favorite characters, or what's left of my favorite characters, Elzar and Avar. I just love them from the books. And honestly, we haven't got too much visual representation. We got Avar in one of the comics a little bit. She helps with the huts or something. But Elzar
She,
really haven't gotten into comics too much. So I'm glad we're actually going to get kind of see what he looks like in action. So
yeah, we got Avar quite a bit in phase 1, the main book, because she's also the one that goes after. Why am I drawing a blank of that Tempest Runner? Um,
Lorna D.
Lorna
D. Thank you.
Yeah, she helps defeat the drain gear, which aren't even a thing anymore, which they're such a cool factor the first phase, but yeah, she helps defeat them. So we get her quite a bit. So I'm glad we got her.
Well, they're still a thing. They're just dormant.
Right.
We'll see if they come back or not. It'd be cool to see them come back. I like them. They were fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty. I think it's going to be kind of Nile centric.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think this is where we'll kind of start hearing whispers of the Sith or of dark side users, on the rise. I think this is where we start seeing that. Be interesting. I would love if they wrote in the book basically Amanda Steinberg's character before the Acolytes show. If we got any kind of backstory before the show in the books, that would be really cool.
I
Yeah.
think they probably will.
The show Acolyte is supposed to be 50 years, I'm guessing, before the prequels. Is that what I heard?
Mm,
Somewhere, yeah, I think it's somewhere right around there. Because
So it's not right after Phase 3. Then it's going to be there's going to be a time gap.
no, there's definitely a little bit of a time
No.
gap. So
Yeah.
maybe not. But it would be kind of
Vernestra
cool.
Rowe is in it. It might be like 100 years before or something, but it's definitely in between.
Yeah. Final thoughts, guys?
I'm looking forward to Phase 3. I think it's going to be a good ride. Can't wait to
Yeah, it's gonna be
read
really
more.
good.
Waiting for the first novel. I wish I
Should
could finish this whole
be
run.
November?
It's November, right? But I wish I could finish this whole run first before I read the novel, because it seems like this is going to be a really good bridge. So
They do a good job though intertwining all that stuff. Like
They do a pretty good job at releasing them at the right time. So right when you have the
yes,
comic
that's true.
book, they release the book. But you got to read the whole book then. You can't take 3-4 months to read
except
it.
that one time I got that one spoiler
Yeah,
They
we
for
did-
the
know.
novel and the comic. So that was a one mistake. So, but you're right.
There's
You
just
do
so
You
the
didn't
much. They
finish
can't do
reading
it
the comic
perfect.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how many issues the main book is this time. I think Adventures is coming back. I think Adventures is going to maybe be 6 to 8 issues again. The main book was only 10 this time. I would assume it's probably going to be about the same,
Mm-hmm.
maybe less. I don't know, because I feel like, what are we getting? 2 again? Two junior novels, 2 young adult, and 2 novels, or not? Maybe not even that.
It's less. I think it's only. Yeah, it's really. This is the smallest release of all three phases.
Is it the longest time distance between it? Because I remember something like this was going to take the longest or something. Maybe that's what I thought it was the longest.
Trying to think.
I thought I read something like between the first release and when they finish it was a lot longer.
Yeah, the only ones I have release dates for are the Eye of Darkness, which that's the one that comes out in a month. And then January's Escape from Valo, and then March is Defy the Storm. So I think there's only 3 books, but they're like over a 6 month, 4 month time span.
So are we done
Usually
with
we
this
would get.
by March? Well, I didn't think that. I thought it was being close to the fall. That's what I was thinking. Wow.
I mean, like I said, these are the only books that I've been able to find that have release dates. There certainly could be more that they haven't released, but Defy the Storm is set to come out March 5th. That's the
March
that's
12th,
the last one.
2024, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it says the 12th on what you're looking at.
Yeah, and
But
it
see, I don't
says,
think there's anything after that.
yeah, The Tears of the Nameless by George Mann, fall of 2024, and then finally Into the
Okay.
Light by Claudia Gray, spring of 2025.
That's what I remember.
Okay.
I thought someone said it. This panel ends in 2025. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, into
That
2025.
just took a while.
And then it's gonna, from there, after that it goes. So those are the young adult novels. So I have it here. Third phase, Trials of the Jedi, will be set 1 year after the Fallen Star. The first adult novel will be Eye of Darkness by George Mann. This November, Tessa Gratton writes the second adult novel, Temptation of the Force, in summer of 2024. And then Charles Soule writes the final novel, Trials of the Jedi, spring of 2025. The young adult novels are Defy the Storm by Tessa Gratton, Justina Ireland, 2024 March. And then Tears of the Nameless by George Mann, fall of 2024. Into the Light by Claudia Gray, spring of 2025. And then a new author is being brought in for middle grade novels, Alyssa Wong, who she's written the Afra series. She's going to have a story in Tales of the Light and Life anthology. And she's going to write the middle grade book Escape from Valo with Daniel Jose
Yep.
Older. And then Beware the Nameless in summer of 2024. And A Valiant Vow, spring of 2025, Justina Ireland. And that's
So we're
it.
getting 3 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll probably get Dude, that
3
might
and
be the
3.
longest comics too.
I hope.
This is the main line of High Republic Comics will be written by Kevin Scott,
Right.
beginning in December 2023.
Yep.
Lydia Kang will begin this phase's series of short stories in Star Wars Insider, which I get all the time, and Chronicles from the Occlusion Zone, which is where they're trapped right now with the
Stormwall.
right.
Yep.
And it's funny because Elzar said we got to go help them, and they're like, nope, they're where they're supposed to be. Yoda's like, let them stay there.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Mm-hmm.
Was the but it didn't say there how many issues were.
It didn't say no.
Okay. And
But we're in for some good stuff, guys.
Yeah, super, super excited. I can't wait to get this going. But first, make sure you're following us on YouTube at Virtual Cantina Network and Instagram at Virtual Cantina Network, on X at Cantina Virtual, on Threads at Virtual Cantina Network, on Hive at Virtual Cantina, and on TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And of course, the mothership of them all, the Facebook page, Star Wars Celebration in Japan 2025. It's a group. Go there where everything branches out from there. It's where you find all of us. We hang out there. We have nowhere else to do. So I'm sure we have some shows. What are our shows, guys?
Well, also make sure you check out the partner pages, Star Wars Book Nerds and Star Wars Comic Book Club.
Mm-hmm. And every Sunday we alternate our show with the Unifying Force. And then on Mondays, of course, we have Rebels Revisited. And Tuesdays we have our happy hour. And then Wednesdays we alternate between Daughters of the Force and
Nerf Herders.
Yeah,
they're fun.
And then Thursdays we have our watch alongs. And then Fridays is our placeholder for our after show as soon as we get something else to watch.
Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew.
Should be coming up. Also, stay tuned. We are going to have a very special edition of Jedi Archives coming to you this November on Life Day.
Or Life Day, November. That's right. November 17th.
That's going to be a fun one.
Thanks for joining us, and may the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you guys. Thank you for joining.